I remember I was out to a brunch with, like a breakfast with my wife, my mom, my dad, and my dad looked yellow.
Yeah.
And I left, and I remember remarking to Gina's my wife, he doesn't look good. This could be the last meal we ever have with him. I was right, and I wish I wasn't. You're not prepared. You're never prepared.
Yeah.
The one thing we can never add back is more time. It's not just the death side of things. It's the planning side of things. Right. It is finding unclaimed property. It's creating a will, key contact list, being really comprehensive about everything that happens in your life, because that is what estate planning is. It's not just the transfer of your assets. It's having the conversations that you need to have, getting organized, and everything in between, soup to nuts.
This is the Buried in Work podcast, where we share tips and interview experts to help you simplify estate planning and end-of-life tasks.
Sometimes out of hardship, tragedy, we get something really important and beautiful. And I'm so glad that I get to talk a little bit about that today. If you're wondering, this doesn't look like it normally looks, that's because I'm Jared Rizzi, and I get to talk to Adam Zuckerman, who is the founder of Buried in Work. And we wanted to talk a little bit about how this all started. Why are we here? What the hell are we doing? And I'm talking specifically about not like existential, like meaning of life stuff, but just this project that you've essentially created out of nothing over the last year. So first of all, let me just say, Adam, thank you for joining me on your podcast, this thing that we've done together for the last year or so. But more importantly, thanks for spending some time and talking a little bit about, kind of peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, it's the metamorphosis. Our little bug has turned into a butterfly, and it's grown over time. The podcast has been around for just about a year. The website's now been around for a bit longer than that, a heck of a lot longer than that. And we're helping a lot of people simplify estate planning and end-of-life tasks. And it's great to be here. Well, strange being on this side of the mic.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be gentle, I promise. If it's a metamorphosis, let's talk about the caterpillar and how that started, okay. Because there is some, the precipitating event, the inciting incident is something really challenging. Your dad was sick for a long time. And when he passed, I know that you ended up doing a big part of the end of life planning.
Yeah. Can we just start off and fuck cancer?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
For those of you that listen to the podcast, you've probably heard this story ad nauseum now, and you may even feel like you know my dad, Andy. But that's right. He was diagnosed with leukemia 6.5 years prior to when he passed away. I donated bone marrow to him. My favorite joke is that he kept me around for spare parts, or that one of his friends told him and my mom that I was their best mistake. I was actually conceived when my mom had an IUD. She's probably going to get mad that now everybody on the internet can know that. Sorry, Mom. But he was at my house, and he walks up the stairs after working on a project with me in the basement, and he goes, "I'm tired." And he goes to the hospital. They check him into Hopkins on Thursday, and he dies 12 days later. So crazy.
You had known that this was a possibility, but I also know that, these diagnoses, they go back and forth emotionally, because we'll talk about the logistics, and obviously a big part of what Buried in Work does is the logistics. But were you in that moment ready for that next phase of this kind of awful, getting much worse moment? Because
No.
It was long, and then it was sudden.
No, absolutely not. And part of the issue and rationale or reasoning behind that, I think, is because each time he got sick over the past, 6-7 years, they fixed it.
Yeah.
They being Hopkins and the doctors that he went to. I donated bone marrow to him. They fixed it. He relapsed, which meant that his leukemia, it evolved and shifted. So my bone marrow was no longer able to fight it. So they put him into remission again, and they fixed it. He had prostate cancer. They fixed it. He got skin cancer. They fixed it. We actually had a board that was like Cancer 0, Andy 4 up at the house. And you always had this mentality. My dad's a fighter. He keeps winning. He keeps winning. Whatever happens, Hopkins is great. They're going to fix him.
Yeah.
Put him back together, the Tin Man, whatnot. And I remember I was out to a brunch with, like a breakfast with my wife, my mom, my dad. I think it was a Saturday or Sunday before he went to the hospital for tests on Tuesday. And my dad looked yellow.
Yeah.
And I left, And he said, I've got a doctor's appointment. And I could tell he was a little bit tired. And I remember remarking to Gina's my wife, that he doesn't look good. This could be the last meal we ever have with him. I was right, and I wish I wasn't. You're not prepared. You're never prepared. The one thing we can never add back is more time. And what we've evolved to do out of this entire experience is help people get more time back. And it's really what Buried in Work comes down to in its simplest form, is simplifying tasks, making things easier to give people more time to focus on what matters.
Because you're in that moment, and like you say, you can't get that time back. You don't know really how much you have. And that means that something that can take a little bit off your plate becomes that much more valuable. And I think that I know this is a big part of the logistics, but I want to ask one more thing about, because I got to meet your dad a couple times. I mean, one of these kind of indefatigably cheerful and lovely people. And I feel like you have a lot of that same kind of, just irrepressible energy. And certainly that has been poured into this project where you've got this thing you've created out of whole cloth. Do you feel like you were over optimistic because of that kind of buoyed personality where you just like, you say, Andy for Cancer Zero, but like, he was also the kind of person where like, you believed that he was going to keep going. I mean, that's certainly my experience, very limited.
Absolutely. I mean, he was the eternal optimist. Literally 4 days, 3 days, 2 days leading up to when he passed away, even when he came home to go on hospice. And the doctor said, there's no more treatments. We're out. There's no more rabbits in the hat. He's going, well, maybe they'll find something. It literally, like, facing down the inevitability of XYZ, maybe they'll find something.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the optimistic side of me too. I'm certainly very much like my dad. I've been told I'm the perfect mix of my dad and my mom. My mom will talk to anybody, and my dad innately curious about everything. Yeah, I'm glad that people are viewing Buried in Work as a place that they can come not only for information to help them, but also have a little bit of the lighter side. I mean, heck, we even developed an entire part of our store called the Lighter Side, which has funny candles and t-shirts, World's Okayest Executor, our card game, One More Story, that helps you capture memories from your family members. They've got some pretty funny anecdotes and tidbits in there that really help you connect. And it is testament to my dad in a lot of ways, where I wake up every morning, I go to work, I look into the camera that we're recording on right now. That was his DSLR that I repurposed. It's the pun of the name, Buried in Work. It could have gone with something a little bit more serious, but this is Andy. The logo, most people don't realize it. It's a coffin. Like, the B is somebody's head and they're laying down. And once you see this, you're never going to be able to unsee it.
When did you know? Because again, I'm thinking about this like 6.5 year and then sudden.
Yeah.
When did you know that you were going to end up doing as much as you did of the kind of end of life work? Because if you want to earn that World's Okayest Executor shirt, you've got to be prepared to, actually put the time in.
Yeah, well, I found out that I was very okay at being an executor. And I want to be very clear. Buried in Work, while I may have founded it, is not just me. We've got you. There's a lot of other people on the back end that are doing a lot. This is not an Adam project. This is a collective, a lot of people project.
And also the end of life stuff. I know, you're involved, but, I'm sure, your mom did a big portion of it. I know other people in your family.
Absolutely.
None of these things we do. I mean, that's the real joy of these things, is that so often we're not alone. And we get other people's, collective, we get to celebrate these things together.
That's the organic nature of so many startups and so many companies that are born. It's not someone sitting around going, I want to make a company. It's, I have a problem. I experienced something from this learning. I've gone out and I have created something to make it easier for me, because it will also help other people. In Facebook, if you want to go like the basic of the basic, because Zuckerberg couldn't get into fraternity parties or something. So he created the Facebook. Not everything, always remember to never speak in absolutes, but most companies that are successful are solving a problem. And the problem that I was solving was not to start a company. It was, I went through this process helping my mom transition her estate. I put together templates that I used. I did a lot of research. I wrote down the research. I showed my mom's financial advisor what I put together, and she said, this is the most thorough transition I've ever seen. Give it away. And when we made the website, the initial one on Squarespace, free Squarespace plug, it was great. And I thought it would just be a few articles, a few templates, and be done with it. And we had 10,000 plus visitors to the website in a week. And then I started getting feedback from people. Then I started getting requests for help, and we realized we need to start making products. So instead of me saying, hey, here's the information that you need to organize your estate information so your family members don't have to go on a scavenger hunt, which leads to over 500 hours to administer an estate, here's what was then called the estate preparation package. Now is called the Clear Kit, comprehensive legacy estate administration repository kit. Clear, aha, it's clear, it's a pun, another pun. And that then solves the problem for people of having all their information in one place. And then people come back to us and go, well, how about this? I'm getting automatic toilet paper, and I'm simplifying, automatic toilet paper shipments from Amazon, and I can't turn it off. What do I do? We went out, we reached out to companies, and now we have a directory for free so people can come to the website and learn how to close accounts. The company itself wasn't born from, oh, I want to start a company. The company was born from, I want to help people. And as more people started using the site and we kept getting more questions, we keep creating more resources.
For people who don't know Adam and I have known each other now for almost 20 years, which is kind of wild to think about. Adam is that perfect kind of super relaxed and groovy person who will have 10 interoperable spreadsheets within a couple hours if you leave him alone in a room.
Jared, you're the first person to ever say that I'm relaxed.
I'm aware. I'm aware. And the idea that you would use this superpower for not evil is, I think, first of all, iconoclastic in the moment we're in right now, but also I think indicative of the genesis of this, right? Like, it's okay, well, I'm going to create this enormous thing. It's going to grow, it's going to grow and more, better than you could possibly imagine, but also like, I'm going to make sure that it's accessible. I think that's as true a version of you as I could imagine if it doesn't exist in your actual body. And I think that's the fun part of it. I guess my question is, I know how busy you've been.
Mm-hmm.
And I know because I get to peek behind the curtain and see the wizard, kind of, doing all the time. Just
the sausage.
It's I'm trying to, Wicked's really popular right now. I'm just thinking for, search engine optimization.
Okay. Yeah.
But like, have you grieved in this last year? Have you done what you've needed to do beyond logistics and planning and this really busy project?
Yeah.
Because I worry about you. I genuinely, this is a conversation you and I have not actually had outside of this, but I am sometimes worried because I see you and I'm like, we're talking about this to other people. Are you actually doing it?
All right. So it's been years since my dad passed away now. My initial response is I would say, no, I haven't fully grieved yet, just because when you ask the question, my response was cross my arms.
Yep.
So those of you that are watching on video could see this. But those listening, like, I literally just went into that pose of like, kind of scrunched. At the same point in time, I think that the grieving for me, and I get sad, like, heck, the year first is that past driving to Home Depot for the first time, would have called my dad. Doing this project would have called my dad. I saw that. Reminds me of my dad.
Yeah.
Really, really hard. But the project itself that I'm dedicating to, it's weird. It's like my dad is with it. It's something that he'd be proud of. And that really means a lot. And I think that grief comes in evolutions and waves. There's a friend of mine, Brian Lieb. He said something that is probably the truest thing I've ever heard in my life, or among them, where he said, Adam, it won't get better, but it will get easier. And I think that's what buried in work is. It's not making it better, but it's making it easier. And that easier is for me, and the easier is for so many other people that we're helping out with these resources. And we have more than 150 information hubs now. We are working on a vendor marketplace that lets other people add their products to our shop that are approved. We're relaunching directories for 16 directories to connect people with service providers. We've got our card games that's being looked at to turn into an app. We've got people that are reaching out to us for partnerships. We're working with, companies for HR and financial advisors and others to go in and train their people on what actually makes a comprehensive estate plan. We just got a really big book deal with one of the largest publishers in the world. They do $1.8 billion a year in revenue. So next fall or spring rather of 2026, depending on when you're listening to this, you can find No Loose Ends, the smart and somewhat morbid guide to estate planning and end-of-life tasks. Like, things are really good, but like you said, I'm still grieving. I work all the time. There's a lot of people involved that I need to make sure that people are doing what they need to do. And we have an inbound stream that, people are asking for help. And the type of help that we're getting asked for, it's across the board. And I don't like saying no to people. So if someone reaches out and says, hey, I'm in the middle of the country and I need help finding my uncle's grave, I'm going to send them, or someone on the team is going to send them the resources of, hey, here's where on the site you can do that. And I don't want someone to be waiting or guessing because they need help. And I don't like not helping.
I do think for people who have only experienced, if you're seeing this and you've experienced the website, the beating heart at the center of it is someone who wants desperately to come and help drive you around Ohio or wherever to find this thing. Like, that's what people need to know about. In addition to how relaxed you are, they need to know. They need to know that this is like, the kind of guy who you could call and be like, "Hey, this is a problem I'm dealing with," and you kind of just leap into action. The point being, sometimes to your own detriment, which is the part of me that's been your friend for 20 years wants to remind you.
Gina telling me, Adam, get off your phone. But someone needs me. Like, one of my favorite cartoons is, are you coming to bed? And the guy's at his computer is like, but someone's wrong on the internet. That's what buried in work in a lot of ways is I want to find these problems and just fix it. And we're doing that, which is amazing. We'd have people come to us already and ask for investment. And we've actually said no. They see that the company is hitting traction. There's an online periodical for the funeral industry called Connecting Directors. They said we're the most comprehensive end-of-life resource available. I'm getting to go and meet with people around the world, around the country that are phenomenal. If you asked me 5 years ago, would you ever go to the National Funeral Director Association's conference in New Orleans? What are you talking about? It was amazing. A few days ago, I talked with someone who started a company that
I can think of other things to do in New Orleans, is all I'm trying to say.
There is no better conference to go to in New Orleans than this conference. This year's in Chicago. I've gone to Iowa, for example, to meet with funeral directors. I had a conversation the other day with someone who started a company that is on the backside of logistics, because a lot of people don't realize all the moving parts that go in after someone passes away. They organize airplane transfer of bodies for funeral homes. But it's not just the death side of things. It's the planning side of things. It is finding unclaimed property. It's creating a will, key contact lists, being really comprehensive about everything that happens in your life, because that is what estate planning is. It's not just the transfer of your assets. It's having the conversations that you need to have, getting organized, and everything in between, soup to nuts. And that's what our site is. We're becoming several people have actually described us as the knot. So not as for wedding planning, the knot of estate planning and end-of-life tasks. I mean, our store is going to be the Etsy, we hope, but we'll see.
Big mantle. I guess let me back up though and talk about, this 6.5 year timeline. At some point, okay, so you get the diagnosis, the initial diagnosis from your dad. I'm guessing that at that point you were not super involved with your parents' end-of-life plan. I'm guessing.
No.
You and I have not had this conversation.
My mom bought one of the estate organization kits that you see on TV late night years and years and years ago. And my dad, very organized. Like, I'm not getting that right now. I don't need it. I'm not getting that right now. Plenty of time. And that's a question and a conversation that so many families have.
When do you get involved? Like, what's the insight? What's the moment where you're like, okay, because at that point you're still kind of, it's not on your plate. At some point, obviously you do the bone marrow thing. You're in part of all these diagnoses and everything you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
When do you start saying, hey, we actually need to talk? Or is it not until the end when you were like, actually, I'm going to get involved in these logistics?
It's almost like a hill. So when he was first diagnosed, we were not speaking out loud often, this could, turn out the way that it ended up turning out. As time got on, it became more apparent, well, here's another thing, here's another thing. And that my mom smartly started saying, Andy, where is this? And his response was, the files are on the computer. You know where the will is. Adam will take care of it for you. Adam will take care of it for you. And he showed me.
Were you aware of that, by the way?
No.
Like, because sometimes, some parents are like, yeah, Adam will take care of that for you. And like, Adam was not looped into that conversation.
I was
Your family is not everyone's family, is what I'm trying to say.
We are a very verbal family. I was looped into the sense of, Adam, you'll take care of it. The files are on the computer. You know how to access them. When you need them, you go and get them.
Right.
And when he was in the hospital the last time, I slept over there many nights. My sisters came in, they slept some nights, but several of those nights, several of the days I was there too. And my dad and I would alternate between yelling at the football game on the television, not yelling, but, oh, they're terrible again this year, to having questions that turned into the games that we've talked about, to, all right, which accounts do I actually need to know about? Wherever is everything? Right. What do I actually need to know that you think I need to know? And we had that really intense, here are the accounts, here's this, let's go through it, here's your access, yada, yada, yada. But literally until 12 days before he passed away, Adam knew the files were on the computer or in the office. Adam's going to take care of it. I knew there was a will. I didn't know I was executor on it. It's tough for a lot of people, and that's a very typical situation for a lot of people. And
well, I wonder about how many people are, 12 days and knowing that you're going to take care of it is actually more information.
We're lucky.
Yeah, that's more.
So here's another thing that I learned since. On average, women are outliving their male husbands by 5.8 years in the country. And I love my mom, but my dad handled the finances in the house. And it's not because she can't. She's very capable. It's just simply because she hasn't.
Right.
And there's an entire group of women in the country, again, not because they can't, but because they haven't, that are unfamiliar. So we ended up creating a course called Financial Literacy for Spouses to help people learn the key things they need to know in the event something were to happen to their spouse, how they can step in. Not only the questions asked before, but what to do after. And there is a free information hub that you can go in and teach yourself. We have a course that we taught on Zoom. It was very well received. Literally every single person that took the course has recommended in the post, follow-up, yes, I would recommend this to other people. And we're in the process of turning that into an online self-study course. So you have a video to watch with the slides and the curriculum and assignments and everything else. There's so many different things that we've identified of problems that we can solve. Someone reached out to us and said, a really big issue I'm having is buying a car. My husband handled that. And I hate to make it seem like women, don't know how to do this stuff. There's plenty of stuff like guys are coming to us too. Hey, my wife did this. What do I need to do? But we're creating these information hubs on both sides of that equation that I don't care who you are in the family. If you haven't done something, you're going to have questions. Come to us. If we don't have an information hub about it, I'll hire someone to go and make the information hub, and it'll help other people.
Right. I mean, look, I appreciate the gender neutral perspective on this, because certainly in my family, my wife is the finance person. I'm either going to her or to you, frankly, at this point if something terrible happens. But
oh gosh, that's the worst thing about this, and not worst thing in like actual worst. I am listed as so many people's executors or guardians of their kids now. Gina is as well. She's very tolerant. I think I've told her about most of the times I've said yes to people. I'm the de facto expert, and it's an expertise I love to share with other people. But at the same point in time,
yeah, I think you've discovered like the worst monkey paw, which is I want to get better at this so I can help people. And they're like, all right, it curls.
You're in. Put me in, coach.
At this point, you talk about the situation, you're having these conversations with your mom and the rest of your family about the future. Is there anything where you've said, okay, I've learned this. I am, Malcolm Gladwelling. I am, in the top 5% of people who know what's going on. What are you doing differently for your mom or for your own family? Or what would you have done differently, I guess, about stuff with your dad now that you know what you know? Because this is, you're at the apex of the experience here.
How much time do you have?
About 15 more minutes.
There's a lot that I would have done differently. There's a lot that I think other people should be doing differently. But me saying what our family should have done differently won't necessarily help others because everybody's unique, just like everybody else. Key things, you have to have your docs in place, follow the roadmap that we have. There's an entire checklist of things to do after somebody passes away. It's unbelievably important for you to think about your end-of-life plans. It's unbelievably important for you to have advanced directives that people can actually understand. That means that if you can't advocate for yourself, who gets to make those decisions? I think that people shouldn't say that it's multiple people. I think it should be rank ordered. So there is no one person wants this, one person wants that.
Yeah.
I think that you really need to take a hard look of what you want at the end of your life. We've got 15, 16 different information hubs just about final resting places. Most people think about traditional burial or cremation or even new cremation, alkaline hydrolysis, which is water cremation. Hey, look, I'm an expert now. But there's so many other things that you can do, from memorial jewelry, turning ashes into diamonds, even vinyl records, composting, which is really big in Washington State right now. You can have space burials, at sea burials, tree, memorial forests. There's so many different things that people just don't have their eyes open to, and you should figure this out. And then we say you need to plan today for tomorrow, and it needs to evolve with you over time. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think, oh, I made my will 30 years ago. You're not the same person that you were 30 years ago. Science has changed. Technology has changed. Your options have changed. Your position has changed. Your viewpoint has changed. I mean, Jared, you're now a staunch Republican. And when I first met you, you were a liberal. I'm kidding.
I'm just going to I can't believe I managed to go this far into this conversation before wanting to completely nope out. That's
yeah.
All right. It's been great. This is the last time you'll ever hear from me, and friendship of 20 years complete.
Gone.
Yeah.
But seriously though, I mean, people change, and
your means change. Let's be even more frank. Your means change.
Hopefully.
I mean, hopefully, one direction. Hope. I mean, look.
That's another thing. So you talk about means, and not to cut you off.
How dare you?
We literally just launched a 501c3, approved by the IRS, because we recognize that a lot of people that go through traditional estate planning, they have means. They have a total net worth of $500,000 or more. They own a house. They have several cars. Maybe you're really lucky in multiple houses. But the reality is I don't care if you only have a shirt on your back. You still have an estate, and you're still going to die someday, and the people that are in your life are still going to have to deal with that.
Yep.
And if there is nobody, then the state deals with it. But they need resources too.
Mm-hmm.
So we created this nonprofit to take just the core of what we have, focus on financial literacy, focus on end-of-life planning, and Buried in Work Charitable. There's a link on the website on the bottom of our site in the footer that you can go to. We're creating content to partner with organizations and help people around the country that may think estate planning isn't for me, but it is. Because if you die without a will, if you die without your decisions and options and wishes in place, you go through a process called dying intestate, which means that it just follows the laws, regulations of the state that you live in. Somebody else makes those decisions for you, which is the government. And it's not saying that they're bad decisions, but you didn't weigh in.
Well, and if buried in work is to become the knot of dying, the difference is not everyone gets married. That's the big difference. And I do think that there's a need to address, people,
Fun fact, everybody who's alive gets to live, right? So it's not just dying. And I want to be really clear, and you know this more than anybody, is that a lot of people go, oh, so you're end of life? No, we're also during life. We're for improving life. We're for improving the life, leaving the legacy for other people.
Right.
And on the side of our Clear Kit box, there's a quote that was from the former deputy chief technologist at NASA. After he saw the product, he went, "Leave your heirs the gift of organization." And that's on the side of the box. And that's really what we want people to do.
As someone who's not always very organized, this has always appealed to me, and I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I also think that for people who are trying to avoid these conversations, I think you have, laid so many bricks for them to walk an easier path.
Mm-hmm.
I hope people take it. I hope people understand what's in front of them.
You frustrate me so much. You always say you, and it's a we. You're involved. There's
It's
so
a
many other
plural
people.
you. I'm a New Yorker, so I don't say y'all.
I hate companies where it is the CEO that has the persona. I want to be able to have a heart attack or get hit by a bus in peace and make sure that things continue on helping other people. Right?
Well, you should probably do some estate planning.
Team. Yeah.
The sound of the dog means that it's time to.
Well, it's Zeke. He's our director of marketing. So, Zeke, stop it. Makes perfect sense.
I actually think there's no. It's important to highlight the contributions of the team. Zeke wanted to be heard.
He does,
and we're grateful for him. I just think what is available is good. People are going to realize that the core of it is this beating heart, and we wanted to show a little bit of what the values and the kind of the genesis of this was. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to do that. I wouldn't necessarily recommend 20 years of friendship with you to everybody, because it's not for everybody. But I would say that getting to know you a little bit better is probably good to understand the person who's at the very core. Certainly not the only thing. You're not you don't want this founder mantle, but the value core of this. And I certainly, appreciate you in so many respects. I'm just glad to share that. So for Buried in Work, I'm Jared Rizzi. My guest has been somebody who's only tangentially involved with Buried in Work, Adam Zuckerman. Adam, Thank you so much for spending some time on your podcast.
Jared, thank you so much. And for everybody else that's listening, we made this specific episode as episode 50. It could not happen without our podcast manager on the back end, Christiani. Christiani, thank you for everything that you're doing. Come find us every week. Wednesdays, we get the new podcast episodes released. And we'll see you at buriedinwork.com.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Buried in Work podcast. Remember, you can save 10% on our estate preparation package and games with code podcast10 at buriedinwork.com.